Hi, Hannah Rose, and this is Vanessa. Her YouTube account is Van Lively, and we've talked about it a bunch of times, but we took a really cool road trip to the Pacific Northwest last fall, and we have a lot of really fun stories from that trip.
We have stories.
So, this is our first story time video about how we almost died multiple times on our road trip. We didn't actually almost die. Maybe once.
We could have fallen off the mountain.
We could have done that at any point. We were driving on cliffs the entire time.
Should we start with this silly one?
The one where you abandoned me, you mean?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That one's my story to tell because you were asleep. Okay. This is the one where Hannah was abandoned in the middle of the night.
Okay.
Our first one takes place in Tahoe.
I don't even remember what happened.
Oh, I do. We didn't have a way to read our battery percentage at the time. We had no idea where our battery was at, so it kept constantly dying because we couldn't see how full it was whenever we had sun. And there was not a lot of sun. We picked like the worst time of year to go to the Pacific Northwest with solar panels. We found out that there were like 20 bear sightings a day in Tahoe in just one camp. And they were getting ready for hibernation. Another reason why we should not have gone up there in the fall. And they were stealing food out of people's campers and cars. And they were taking doors off the hinges and breaking windows. We probably shouldn't have stayed after learning that, but we didn't have anywhere else to go and we already paid for the campsite. One night, me and Vanessa decided, we're going to swap beds with Kai because he was on this one, which turns into a bed, which is a lot smaller than the one we have back there. So we were like, let's be nice. Kai can take the big bed for the night and me and Vanessa will share the little one. It was freezing, like down into the low 30s. I wake up in the middle of the night because our alarm's going off because our battery died again. And I was alone on this bed. I was by myself, freezing. They weren't waking up when the alarm went off.
Why were you alone?
Because you left me!
Why did I leave you?
We were both on this bed. I woke up at like 3 a.m. when our battery died. And you were up there with Kai. Sharing body heat. And I was, yeah.
I remember now.
I'm sure you remember now. I go turn off the inverter, which is behind a panel where our electrical cabinet is. You have to use an impact drill to unscrew the screws to get the panel off to turn off the inverter so that it would stop beeping. And we left it outside at 3 a.m. with 20 plus bear sightings in the area. I ran outside to grab it, alone, in the cold, afraid. I come back in, I unscrewed.
You did that while we were sleeping?
Yes! Because none of you woke up!
How did I not wake up?
You guys are really heavy sleepers. Also, I was closer to the alarm and you weren't because you abandoned me and went to the bed in the back of the bus and I was here by the alarm. Yeah, I was too. Yeah, I ran outside with the bears. I did not get eaten, but we did see one the next morning, so there could have been a bear near me and I didn't even know. I get back inside, I switch off the battery, and I'm freezing. I'm on the verge of tears because we knew that if the battery died, that meant all of our food in the fridge was going to die again. We'd have to go shopping for new food. So I was already in such an awful mood, and then I thought, okay, well, at least I can warm up because I can go climb in the big bed with them. I'll just squeeze in and I'll get all toasty warm. And then I get back there, and now Kai decides to wake up. His eyes pop wide open. He sees me climbing into the bed with both of them, and he goes, absolutely not. Like, I'm gonna be too cramped. And he gets off and comes back to this one. And I was like, are you kidding me right now? So I climb in bed, and then Vanessa wakes up, and she goes, oh, hey, you got the alarm off. Like, just so cold. And I was like, get away from me. I don't even care if I freeze anymore. Just don't touch me. And she was like, what are you talking about? And I was so mad.
I'm sorry.
I appreciate that.
Good. We're better now.
We almost got divorced that trip. So to preface this one, the entire time I wanted to be camping, but the bus just wasn't equipped for camping at the time. The battery wasn't lasting. I didn't have enough solar. It was too cloudy. I didn't really have very good off-roading tires. No internet. We weren't really prepared to go for a few days at a time without internet and not being able to contact our families. They would have freaked out, and if anything went wrong, we wouldn't have anyone to contact. So camping was just not a very good option. We went on iOverlander, and there was a camping spot that was about an hour and a half off the main road that was up out of the trees, supposedly, with internet and sunlight access for the solar panels. And we were like, wow, that sounds perfect. Let's go. So Vanessa was driving, and I will let you take over.
We're on our way home. This is the last stretch, and we decide we're going to try one last time to go camping. We're going to make it work. We found the perfect spot. We did not know that this was in the middle of the mountains. We spent an hour and a half making our way to the spot.
Well, we knew it was going to be like off the main road. We just didn't realize that we were going to be going through like the worst mountain road possible to get there.
So we're making our way. We take a wrong turn. It's a whole thing. When we finally find the right road, we're going up, and there's this big sign, okay? This huge sign. And it says, do not go up here if you don't have chains.
I'm pretty sure it said, do not enter if you do not have chains or four-wheel drive.
We don't have either of those things.
Do not enter at all between the months of like March and September.
Were we in that time frame?
Yes.
Oh. Wow,
So,
we deserve everything that happens
I know.
to us. Okay. We're running out of time. Limited options. Okay, we're tired. I'm looking at the app. Everyone's saying, no, it was fine. We made it. Don't even worry about it. So we're like, should we do it? I feel like we should do it. We're going back and forth, and we ultimately decide to ignore the sign and go through it. It's not too bad for a while. It starts out pretty okay, and then it's not okay. It's a road, like, just as big as the bus. Like, I don't know what would happen if another car came.
But yeah, also picturing like tree branches that were way overgrown that were scraping along the roof as we were trying to drive by in certain areas.
It's like the cliffside of a mountain, right? That's the road, and it's completely bumpy and muddy and potholy and awful. And at certain times, the road would be like this. The whole bus would be like this when
Towards
we were
the cliffside, mountain,
yeah.
road, cliff.
I was terrified of fall. At this point, it's been like an hour, so I'm like, we can't turn back. First of all, there's no place to turn back, so I have to keep going. And I'm like, I'm not giving this bus to anyone else because I don't trust anyone to not kill us. So,
my bus, by the way. I've driven this thing everywhere.
I was so scared. So I'm driving along, like, completely stiff, so scared. I just think we're gonna die at any point.
It was super foggy.
Oh, yeah.
Super foggy.
Literally, like, going through a cloud. Like, you can't really even see it, like, past 10 feet in front of you. It's
so imagine you're driving, and then a tree comes out of the gloom.
These were scraggly trees, okay? Like, these were not pretty, beautiful pine trees. These were, like...
It was green, right? We were in Oregon. Or we were in really
green,
northern
but
California.
But they were, like, not that leafy. You know what I mean? Like, it was mostly branchy.
Okay, yeah.
So it was, like, these huge branches that look like arms trying to kill you, right? Just touching our bus as we're going... Horrifying, okay? Horrifying. And then the cloud, the mist would come and go, but for the most part, it was really misty. I finally find a van in front of us, and I start following the van. And I'm like
creeps.
we're gonna be fine. What?
Like creeps.
Yeah, I'm like, we're gonna be fine as long as we follow this van. They know what they're doing, I'm sure.
They were probably thinking the same thing about us.
So we both find the spot at the same time, and we park. I take a deep breath. I'm like, we made it. We're fine. We will figure out how to get out of here in a couple days, because we were planning to be there for a couple days. It starts raining. Kai loves the rain, so he's having a party, okay?
Let me just say, the campsite was beautiful. Like, the fog, it was like perfect autumn colors. It was like leaves falling across the forest, foggy, like just like a light drizzle at this point. Like, it was beautiful camp spot.
It was very beautiful.
Other circumstances, that would have been a good find.
It starts raining a little bit, and then it kind of stops. Like, it's just sprinkling. Kai decides that he wants us to watch a scary movie, one that had just come out. Talk to me. I can't do scary movies. I'm a huge baby. But I'm like, okay, let's watch a movie and relax and calm down. So we're in the bus watching this movie. This entire movie, I can't think, because I remember I checked the weather. It said that it was going to be raining, hard raining, for the next 3 days. Do you remember what our bus battery was at?
Like 20? 20%.
Our bus battery was at like 20%. I don't even think we could have gotten a lot of sun if it was sunny. We were surrounded by trees, weren't we?
Yeah.
So there's no way our battery's gonna make it those 3 days. So the whole time I'm watching, I'm like, our battery's gonna die. Our battery's gonna die. Our battery's gonna die. And then I started thinking, I'm worried because our food's gonna go bad. Our snake's heater, not our snake, her snake's heater is gonna stop working.
Have to rely on body heat.
Yeah. He's gonna have to cuddle with us. Not a good situation. And not just that, but if we don't make it out tonight, like right now, all the roads that I just went up are gonna be completely muddy and gross. We're gonna get stuck.
And we have absolutely no track pads or anything.
On this
we
mountain.
were so underprepared for that entire trip.
We literally just chose a date. We were like, let's go this day. And we were like, okay.
We were all just so excited. We ended up packing, and then that morning at like 5 a.m. we were like, okay, we're ready to go.
We weren't.
We weren't. No, we were. All we had was our clothes. Way too many, by the way. And no survival gear.
So I tell Hannah, I'm like, Hannah, we're not going to be okay. We have to go. We have to leave right now. It's going to start raining in 40 minutes. And it takes an hour and a half to get off this mountain. We all come to the realization that we're on a time limit and we have to leave. So we book it. So I was like, I'm not going to go back the way we came and do an hour and a half in the rain.
So let's take the road we haven't taken yet.
Yeah,
let's take a new, mysterious road out of here.
Let's just take the road all the way through the mountains and come out the other side, even though that's going to mean we're going to have to make our way all the way back to the coast. So I just move us the other direction. into unknown territory. I didn't know if it was going to be the same or worse or better, but you know, we took a risk. We start leaving. It's actually not as bad as the way up.
There weren't as many cliffs.
I was driving us out of this mountain and I was horrified. We'll get into it later, but I was horrified. Hannah was on the floor behind the passenger seat, curled up in a ball, rolling up and down the bus because it's a bumpy ride. Okay, so with every bump, she'd go, whee! Whee! Okay, like she's lost her mind. She is just having a full breakdown.
I very specifically remember driving and I was losing my mind. Like, I was zero help. I was so upset because the entire trip, all I wanted to do was camp and just hang out in nature. And I thought this was finally going to be the time that we could just take a couple days to relax. Nothing was working out. So then we were like, okay, it's time to go back. Not just back to the main road, it's time to go back home. So I was just sitting on the floor, like defeated, completely defeated.
Hannah just checked out. Okay. She was gone. And then Kai is on the other side of me by the bus doors and he is singing. He is yodeling.
Yodeling.
He is yodeling. He is laughing like a maniac. He also lost his mind. So imagine me trying so hard to get us out of this situation and them just useless. Just
absolutely useless.
Absolutely useless. I'm like mid-panic. And I'm like, to Kai specifically, because you were gone. I was like, Kai, I need you to calm down. You're freaking me out. Like, he was like pressed up against the glass. Like, what if I fall out? Like, just ridiculous stuff. And so I was like, please, I need you to calm down. I don't know what took over them, but he was not comforting. He was like, just laughing at me. There was, those little concrete blocks full of graffiti. And I'm like, okay, we're going to do this. Only 25 minutes left. We got this. Just cloud. Complete fog.
I very clearly remember emerging from my ball on the floor to look out the window. And there's 2 concrete columns. At the minute we drove past them, the fog closed in. And I went, why is the fog all of a sudden like really, really thick? And Vanessa's sitting here like, shut up. Just shut up and let me drive.
I was like, oh my God, this is cursed. Like something bad is going to happen. Like this is not good.
Again, the unknown road that we did not go through on the way up. So we had no idea what was going to be through this road.
Yeah, I didn't know if it was allowed. I didn't know if it was even going to come out to somewhere that we could be. On the side of the road, there is a car completely demolished. Bullet holes. Like 50 bullet holes. Completely covering the side of the car, crushed on the side of the road. I was like, this is not good. This is a bad sign. This is a bad omen. I just really don't think we're going to come out of this. I don't think we're going to be okay. But there was only 20 minutes left. I was like, I can't go back these 2 hours the other direction in the pouring rain. We're going to die. I thought we were going to die either way.
We kept seeing like numbers on trees that were counting down.
Imagine the tree on the side of the road with a big red paint number 4 on the tree. And then we would go a mile or 2. And then another tree with a big painted number 3. And I'm like, what happens when we reach 1, guys? What happens when the countdown is over?
They were probably just mile markers. They were probably mile markers on the tree or like marking which trees to get cut down or something. But after watching a scary movie...
And everything put together, like, I'm sure everything has a reasonable explanation. But it's like the trees, the cars of bullet holes, the fog, the graffiti, the pillars, the trees.
Yeah,
like,
it was the most random thing to be graffitied because there weren't people living out there. There weren't even buildings. But there was, like, no signs of life.
The whole time I was just envisioning, what if I see eyes in the trees? It's okay. Nothing happened at the end of the countdown.
We hit 0 and we were still fine.
Yeah, we were perfectly fine. Nothing happened. We made it out, finally. And we all survived. But it was very horrifying. And I had no help.
But when we got out, it was, like, the most beautiful scenery. Like, it was literally, like, the trees parted. You could see the main road at the bottom of the hill. We reached the main road. The mountains are in the distance. The clouds are like nestled into the mountains. It was beautiful. And then, yeah, it was like, it's like a reward. So the moral of the story of the one with the quest to the foggy mountain is do not watch scary movies in the forest. Especially do not watch scary movies in the forest when there's fog, when you're in unknown territory, with you don't know where the roads are, you don't know how to get back. In the rain, that also might be a good thing to note.
Oh, also, maybe listen to signs.
Yeah.
Don't ignore the signs clearly telling you not to do something.
Okay, in our defense, those signs could be outdated.
And in our defense, everyone
on iOverlander said
it was fine.
They all said they went to this specific spot. This was such a popular spot. It had so many reviews, so many comments. There was nothing about it saying it was shut down. People in vans and buses and regular cars all were going up here. So it wasn't like we were that stupid. We just really, really trusted internet people.
There's lots of cautionary tales in that one.
I gotta prepare myself for this one. I love this story.
This is the favorite.
This took place at the very, very tippy top of the U.S. We went to Forks, Washington. Before that, we went and visited the La Push Beach, famously known in Twilight. We were super excited. The beaches were gorgeous. Driftwood on the beach, big rocks. It was beautiful. We get to Forks, which is a super, super tiny town. We're just kind of exploring, checking out everything. We end up going to this park. It had bathrooms. It had a really cute little playground. So we parked the bus there, went exploring around town, visited all the shops. We get back and there's a woman walking her dog and she's super sweet. Her name's Corey. She was just kind of talking to us, like introduced us to her dog. We said bye. We ended up exploring a little bit more, and then later that night, we realized our bus battery was probably going to die again. So we thought, okay, we need to charge our phones and laptops, because otherwise we're going to be kind of out of luck. So we remembered that there was an electrical outlet on the side of the park, and it was in the park boundary. We weren't trespassing or anything. It was just right there on the side. So we thought, okay, let's just go sit in the park until the park closes and plug in our laptops and our phones, just so at least those are charged, even if everything else in the bus dies. Then we see a van that pulls up in the turn lane and it just stops and the blinker's on, but it's not turning and there's no traffic. And I'm sitting there, we're staring at this van and we're like, are they looking at us? Like, is this like, should we leave? It's okay, because if we get kidnapped by another van lifer who stopped mysteriously on the side of the road right in front of us, at least we'll be killed by another member of our community. Yeah, we were like 9 at night at this point. Mm-hmm. And we are working in the field and Vanessa sits up straight, and I look behind me, and there's a dog behind us.
No, Kai goes, Kai's here, I'm here, Hannah's here, and her back is towards the field. And Kai goes, don't move.
Oh, yeah, like, why? That's so scary. We turn around, we're like, oh my god, are we gonna get attacked by a wild dog? But it ended up being the dog of that same lady who we met earlier, Corey. And we saw her way off in the distance, so Vanessa grabbed the dog's collar. We ran up to her and said, hey, don't worry, we got your dog. We met you earlier. And she said, oh, he likes saying hi to strangers. I just didn't know who you guys were. I didn't want to approach you. Like, oh, yeah, we met you earlier. It was great. So she comes up and she's talking to us and she goes, just so you know, this is not a safe area of town. I wouldn't be out here at night. Like, great. We've been out here for like an hour, just like, I don't know, it was like a 5-minute walk back to the bus or something, just out in the middle of this field. Like, okay, great, cool, sounds good. We're leaving. So we left an hour early before the park closed. We were talking to her and she said, oh, are you guys in the school bus? I saw it earlier, but I wasn't sure if that was you. And we said, yeah, we're in the bus. And she goes, oh, if you want, you can park at one of my rental properties. And we said, really? And she said, yeah, nobody's there currently. You can just park in the driveway and you'll be fine. Nobody will bother you. And we didn't really know where to park yet. So we were like, oh, you'd be a lifesaver. Thank you. So we exchanged contact information.
And she starts walking away. And all mysteriously she goes, oh, by the way.
She didn't even say bye. This was like her ending statement.
Just in case anything happens tonight, I know this guy who works on engines and stuff like that. Like,
a mechanic is just across the street.
Yeah, like, he can help you out, whatever. And we're like, oh, okay, thank you so much. We don't realize that that's weird until later on.
We thought she probably was just being friendly, but because we said nothing about the bus having any issues. That was not even a topic of conversation. We didn't say anything about the bus having any mechanical problems at all.
She has no reason to think anything would go wrong.
We decided we're going to go to her rental property to stay the night because we didn't really have another spot to go. We were just kind of betting on the fact that she wasn't a serial killer. She seemed very, very nice.
We found her Facebook.
Yeah, we found her Facebook. She was fine. Obviously. We were like, we don't really have another option. It was on the outskirts of town also, so it would kind of be away from everything. Which, looking back on it, that also might have been a red flag.
Yeah.
Yeah. We just thought we'd be out of the way and, like, not get a ticket or anything if we were parked somewhere we shouldn't be. But we get back to the bus, and we're thinking, okay, let's go get gas. Let's go get, snacks, something for dinner, just ramen from a gas station, and go to the bathroom really quick. We checked 3 different gas stations, I think, and all of them said their bathrooms were broken, which I don't believe that. Or just closed. So we drove around for an hour looking for a bathroom. Around this tiny little town, nowhere had bathrooms available, and we didn't want to drive off into the forest and go pee in the forest because we didn't know the area, and she said it was sketchy, and we didn't know where was safe, and it was already dark outside. We thought, okay, let's go back to the park. There were bathrooms there. Let's just pray that they were left unlocked, even though it was about an hour after closing at this point. Let's just go back to the bathrooms and we'll use those and then we'll go to the house. So we pull up and we just park as close to the bathrooms as possible because it's so dark, and apparently it was sketchy. So it was close to the bathrooms. The men's restroom was locked, but the women's was unlocked. So we walk inside the bathroom and the toilet has turds literally floating in the water. It was nasty. And water all over the floor. We hope it was water all over the floor.
It was clogged, right?
Looked like it was a little bit clogged, so we go and try to flush it.
You know, sometimes after a while, if you flush it, like, it'll work.
Yeah, it didn't. It didn't. The water rose and began spilling out over the toilet onto the floor. The turd was now precariously balanced on the rim of the toilet. We were like, we're not using this bathroom. Like, but you can't even hover. At this point, there's nothing you can do. So we were like, we're just going to pee in the trash can.
We had no options. Okay, we had been wanting to pee for over an hour now. Like,
we had to pee so bad.
So I was like, okay, I'm just going to pee in the trash can.
It was
it's
full,
a huge trash can, okay? And
industrial,
it's like,
and it was full of paper towels too, so it would be absorbed, okay? It would be fine.
So I'm hilariously just hovering.
We're literally in the most disgusting bathroom ever. It won't. We have no option. The other one is locked. Everywhere is closed. We have nowhere else to pee.
I'm hovering over this trash can. The trash can is right in front of the toilet. As I'm hovering,
you like triggered the motion sensor.
I trigger the motion sensor of the toilet, and I realize it's flushing. As it flushes, more water and nasty stuff is overflowing onto the floor. I'm like still hovering, but trying to make sure my feet do not go anywhere near. And we're just dying laughing. It's awful. It's awful.
Yeah, so then I peed, being very, very careful not to trigger that sensor. Like, I'm telling you, that little dookie was like so close to falling on the floor and getting swept across the floor in the water. It was so disgusting. It was so awful. But we left the bathroom, and mind you, we had already been warned this was a sketchy area, and there were 2 cars parked next to each other. This was 11 at night at this point. They were parked closer than they should have been. It was a big parking lot, and they were kind of close to our bus, and we were the only other car in that parking lot. We were like, we're not staying here with sketchy cars.
It was just sketchy and creepy. Yeah. So we were like, Kai, I'm so sorry.
You're a boy, you can pee in the woods.
You're gonna pee in the woods.
Get in the car.
Let's get in the bus and let's get out of here.
We make sure everything is, like, road ready. I sit in the driver's seat, stick the key in the ignition, turn it, and absolutely nothing happens. This engine did not even try to start.
And this is when you remember the woman saying, by the way, in case something were to go wrong tonight. And then a car pulled up right next to the bus.
Yeah, and we couldn't go anywhere. The bus was
stationary.
Yes.
Bus update! We're stranded!
On top of this, the battery we already knew was going to die. And then the bus battery was dead, which means that now we truly have no way to charge our phones or laptops because we cannot even plug them into the charging ports in the engine. Literally 0 power.
And it's pouring rain.
Yeah, the rain started picking up.
It's
so we had 2 different leaks.
Fan leaking. Skylight leak.
On the beds.
On both beds.
Both of the beds.
It's just not a good situation, okay? So we were really freaked out.
So we did what any normal person would do, and we called the cops. They came out, and he was so sweet. And I was like, okay, listen, we're parked here. We only wanted to use the bathroom. We know the park is closed, but our engine just died. We can't go anywhere. Like, we don't know what to do because we don't want to get in trouble. And he was really sweet. He said, well, we can't really do anything for you tonight, but you're more than welcome to stay parked here until morning. You won't get a ticket. We thought, okay, that's great, but there's still really sketchy cars next to us, and we don't know what to do. But we didn't say anything. We just said, okay, thank you. And then another cop car pulled up, and they hung out for a bit. We don't know why. Waiting for the other cars to leave, maybe. But we were like, it's fine. It's fine. We're going to put bowls underneath the leaks. So we light some candles. And we decide we're going to watch Twilight because we're in Forks. So what else are you going to do when you have absolutely nowhere to go? So we watched Twilight while the rain poured, the ceiling was leaking, and we were absolutely stranded. Mm. At least we weren't in the middle of the forest, though.
That's true.
But yeah, then we started remembering what that girl told us, and we were like, how did she know? Because we didn't have any bus issues on the entire trip. We didn't tell her anything about bus issues. The bus was running fine. We didn't hint at all that we were worried about the bus. And that night, not an hour later, the bus completely died, and the engine wasn't even trying to turn over. It was weird. Kai managed to jumpstart it.
I don't know
what he did either. He literally pulled off the front panels and messed with some wires and got the bus started. But it was like an hour after the cops and everything had left. And we were sitting there and we're like, okay, let's think through this, because that lady told us there's a mechanic just across the street. If we drive this bus to the original destination, her rental house that we were originally going to sleep in, and then the bus doesn't start, we are on the outskirts of town with possibly no cell service. And the cop already said we could stay here for the night without getting a ticket. So we turned off the bus. We're like, okay, let's just pray we can get it started in the morning. And if not, at least the mechanic is just walkable distance across the street. This one actually has a happy ending. In the end, we took it to the mechanic. We waited for a couple hours. We walked around town and they took a look at the engine. And it turns out that the bolts that were on top of the battery were just loosened. Like the bumps had loosened them and they weren't tightened enough the last time I was at the mechanic. So they just loosened enough that the battery wasn't completely connected to the car. So all he did was tighten them for us. Charged us $20 and we were good to go. Had no other issues the rest of the trip. Thankfully, it was not an expensive engine issue, but the timing was so weird. And Corey, if you're watching this, we appreciate the offer to stay at your house so much. Like, we love you. You were the sweetest person ever. But how did you know that our bus was going to break down? We really, really appreciate that in the morning and everything. But how'd you know? It was a little weird. Like, look at it from our point of view, Corey. Comment down below how you knew our bus was going to break down. We really appreciate that. We have so many random stories. Like, again, the car crash. I watched a car spin out of control, like, two cars in front of me. Everyone was fine, yeah. I'm surprised it wasn't a pileup. I screamed bloody murder and scared the crap out of them because they thought that we were about to die. But this car was 2 cars ahead of me, spun across the entire highway. We were all going like 65, 75 miles an hour. I do not know how they didn't hit anybody. Oh, there was the time when we were driving through Portland and they were going through like the overhanging trees, you know, and it's like dark and creepy. You decided, Vanessa goes, wasn't there a serial killer loose in Portland like not even a month ago? And then we have the time that we were in Lower Oregon and we were trying to find a spot to sleep and we turned the corner and there's a white van parked on the side of the road, like one of the little ones, and a man runs from the forest. Did you forget about that?
Yeah, I remember him.
He ran from the forest into the open, like the door was open as our headlight shined on him. Like the light scared him or something. He like darted in. I swear he ran
inhuman the way he ran. Like he ran so fast. Like
it
the
didn't
blink
look
of an
like a
eye,
person.
and like limbs just so fast. It was really weird.
Like we blinked and it was weird, but we had to drive past him because we were already turning. So then we knew we'd have to go back past the van on the way out. And then Vanessa started looking up the reviews in this area that we were supposed to be staying, which was supposed to be really beautiful by water. And we started reading all these comments of people saying that there were very aggressive homeless camps in the area who were stopping cars in the middle of the road by blocking their path, who were forcing them to hand over money, or who were like trying to go get their food, or just basically being really, really aggressive until they left. So we thought, okay, never mind. So we had to find a spot to turn around. And when we got back, I think the van was gone, but that was really, really freaky.
So make sure you read all the reviews.
All of them.
Not just the first one.
And reviews in the area. Because the reviews on the one we found said it was beautiful. And then one that was less than a mile away said all the issues about the homeless camp.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But there were a bunch of little random stories like that.
We hope you enjoyed our stories. Bus life is an adventure.
Yep, never know what to expect. I feel like my attitude turned around for the better once I realized that there would be absolute chaos every day and there was no stopping it.
Roll with the punches.
Cue my meltdown on the floor. Thank you for watching our very first story time. This was fun. We should do it again.
Yeah.
That means we have to go on. Let's go on another trip where we almost die and then we'll have more to share.
Bye.
Thank you.
No, we need an intro.
It was an intro.
We didn't even say hi.
I don't like saying hi. It feels awkward.
Hi, guys.
I want it to be casual.
We can be casual. Casual people say hi.